Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a moment when you witness a shift so sudden, so powerful, that it leaves you questioning everything you thought you knew about your nation and the world. This is the moment we stand at today, a moment that demands we ask ourselves, are we really free? Or are we simply pawns in a global game that we have no control over? South Africa, a country with a rich history of struggle, sacrifice and triumph, is now faced with a decision that could change the course of its future. The approval of a foreign military base on our soil, an approval so secretive, so quiet that most didn't even know it was happening. A foreign drone base. Yes, you heard that right. A base built for surveillance, for warfare, and potentially for conflict. And who's paying the price for this? Not the ones who made the decision, but you, me, and every South African who believes in the freedom and dignity of our nation. Why is this happening? Why are we allowing our land to be used as a launchpad for foreign powers to conduct their wars? How did we go from being a symbol of resistance, of hope, to a country that quietly accepts foreign influence on its soil? I stand before you today, not as a politician, not as a leader, but as a concerned citizen, just like each and every one of you. I am here because I believe in one simple truth. We deserve better. Our sovereignty, our dignity, our freedom are not negotiable. They are not things we can trade for promises of economic gain or vague assurances of national security. For years we have fought for our right to be seen as equals on the world stage. For years we have struggled to build a society that is just, that is free of foreign interference. And now, just when we thought we were getting a foothold, just when we thought we had earned the right to define our own future, we face this betrayal. But let me be clear, this is not the end. This is the beginning. The beginning of a fight, not with guns, not with bombs, but with our voices, with our collective will. We do not stand alone. We stand with every person who believes in the power of a free nation, with every citizen who believes that no power, no matter how big or how rich, has the right to dictate our future. It's time for us to rise up, not with anger, but with clarity, not with violence, but with the strength of our unity. We have the power to shape our destiny. We have the power to reject foreign manipulation, to demand transparency, to make sure that every decision made in our name is made with our consent. So I ask you today, what kind of South Africa do we want to be? A country that bows down to outside powers, or a nation that stands tall, that takes control of its future and its decisions? This moment is ours to define. The question is, will we rise to meet it? Together we can stand firm. Together we can shape the future we want for ourselves and for the generations that follow. The time to act is now, and it starts with each of us. South Africa, a nation with a rich history of struggle, sacrifice and resilience, is at a critical juncture, once a shining example of defiance against injustice. A land that stood tall in the face of apartheid and oppression. We are now staring at a decision that could alter the very fabric of our future. We've earned our place in history through sweat, blood, and the tears of those who fought for freedom. But today, we face an uncomfortable truth. Are we truly free? Or have we simply traded one form of control for another, becoming pawns in a much larger, far more powerful global game? The weight of this question is not lost on any of us. For decades, we fought for independence, for the right to govern ourselves, to build a future on our own terms. We overcame apartheid, stood against colonial rule, and proved to the world that no power, no matter how overwhelming, can keep the human spirit chained. Our freedom was hard-earned, and we celebrated it with joy, with pride. But now there is a new threat, one that does not come in the form of overt oppression or segregation, but in the form of covert influence, in secret decisions made behind closed doors, that affect us all. A foreign drone base, approved in secrecy, is just the latest in a series of moves that leaves us questioning whether our sovereignty is still intact. A military base, designed for surveillance and warfare, could soon find itself in our own backyard, operating under the command of a foreign power. This isn't just about national security, it's about the values we hold dear as a country. It's about how we define our freedom, and who gets to control our destiny. The approval of this base was not made in the open, nor was it presented to the people for debate. It was done quietly, almost in the shadows, with little to no public discussion. The people who will be directly affected by this decision, ordinary South Africans, farmers, workers, students, have been left out of the conversation. They were not asked whether they wanted their land to be used in this way. They were not given a chance to voice their concerns. How did we go from being a beacon of justice to a country that allows its sovereignty to be compromised in this way? This is a betrayal not just of the principles we fought for, but of the very idea of freedom itself. We have fought long and hard to stand tall as an independent nation, one that is not subject to the whims of foreign powers. Yet here we are, on the verge of allowing outside forces to set up a base that will shape our future, without our consent. And what do we stand to gain from this? Are we to believe that this foreign military presence will protect us, or will it simply make us a target in someone else's war? We have already seen how global powers use small nations as pawns in their battles for influence and control. Are we ready to let our country become a chess piece in this global game? We deserve better than this. We deserve a government that listens to its people, that stands up for our rights and our freedoms. We deserve a future where we control our own destiny, where our decisions are made by us, for us. This is not just about a military base, it is about something much larger, about the soul of our nation, about the kind of future we want to build for ourselves and for our children. The time has come for us to take a stand. We cannot afford to be passive in the face of this threat. We must demand transparency, demand accountability, and above all, demand the right to have a voice in the decisions that affect our future. This is not the time to remain silent, nor is it the time to accept things as they are. The world may be watching, but our fate lies in our own hands. We are not powerless. Together we have the strength to shape our destiny. Together we can stand tall and make it clear that we will not let our country be used as a pawn in someone else's game. The future of South Africa is ours to define, and it is up to us to ensure that it is a future we can be proud of, one where we stand on our own terms, as a truly sovereign nation. The question now is simple. Will we rise to the challenge? Will we be the ones to protect what we fought so hard for? The time to act is now. How did we go from being a nation that symbolized resistance, courage, and the relentless fight for freedom, to one that now quietly accepts foreign influence on its very soil? It feels like a betrayal of everything we've stood for, doesn't it? We were once the country that faced down the apartheid regime, that made history by defeating a system designed to break our spirit, our culture, and our people. We stood as an example to the world of what true resistance could accomplish. South Africa became a beacon for freedom, a symbol of hope for nations struggling under tyranny. We fought for self-determination, for the right to choose our own path, free from the manipulation and interference of foreign powers. But now, as we look around, we must ask ourselves, how did we allow ourselves to drift so far from that proud legacy? The approval of a foreign military base on our land, a base intended for surveillance, war, and foreign operations, marks a turning point. It is not just a decision made in a political office, it is a profound and painful shift in our identity. Once our land was a sanctuary of resistance, a place where oppressed voices found a platform, a place where those fighting for justice were heard. Today it seems we have allowed our land to become a launchpad for foreign powers to conduct their wars, to carry out operations that have nothing to do with us, yet everything to do with the broader geopolitical game being played on the world stage. The most painful part is that this shift didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in a moment of great violence or direct confrontation. It happened quietly, with little fanfare. Behind closed doors, we allowed it to happen step by step without truly questioning the long-term impact. The approval of this military presence was not done in the open, nor was it made subject to any serious public discourse. It was a decision made by a few in power, with little regard for the people who would have to live with its consequences. And now we find ourselves asking, why weren't we consulted? Why weren't we given a choice in the matter? Have we truly lost the power to decide our own future? The reality is that the approval of this base is more than just a matter of national security. It's about the erosion of our sovereignty, of our right to determine who comes and goes from our land. What does it say about our country if we allow foreign powers to set up shop here, to conduct operations that might involve conflict, surveillance, and military activity? What does it mean for us as a people if we are reduced to a piece of land on a global chessboard, a pawn to be moved at the whim of powerful nations? This is not the South Africa we fought for. This is not the future we dreamed of when we held our first free elections, when we looked out and saw a country united in its diversity, a country with the power to choose its own path. This betrayal is not just about the foreign powers that seek to influence us. It's also about the betrayal of the very principles that made South Africa a symbol of hope in the first place. We were once a nation that said no to foreign domination, a country that fought for the dignity of our people, for the integrity of our land. Today we risk turning into a country that says yes to those same foreign powers, allowing them to dictate terms to us, to use our land for their own purposes. Where did we lose that sense of self-respect? Where did we lose our commitment to stand up for what is ours? The decision to allow a foreign military base on our soil doesn't just undermine our sovereignty, it undermines our very sense of self. If we allow this to happen, we are not just allowing foreign powers to operate on our land, we are telling ourselves, our children, and the world, that we are no longer the masters of our own destiny. We are allowing ourselves to be defined, not by our own choices, but by the choices of those who do not have our best interests at heart. We can no longer sit back and watch as our country is reduced to a mere tool for the interests of others. We must rise up, as we did before, and demand that our sovereignty be respected, that our land not be used as a playground for foreign powers to engage in their conflicts. The price of silence is far too high, and if we are to remain true to the legacy of resistance that we fought so hard for, we must speak out now, before it is too late. Our sovereignty is not for sale. It is time to reclaim our right to choose, to define who we are, and to decide what happens on our land. This is our moment to remind the world and ourselves that South Africa is a nation of strength, of independence, and of freedom. We must not allow our land to be used to further the interests of others. We must fight for the future we deserve, the future that honors the struggle of those who came before us, and the future that ensures our sovereignty remains intact. This is a battle for our identity, for our nation's soul, and we will not go quietly into the night. A foreign drone base was approved in secrecy, quietly, without the voice of the people, without any public debate or transparency. The very foundation of our democracy, the belief that every South African citizen has a right to be heard, has been violated in the most profound way. This wasn't just a political move, this is a blatant attack on our collective rights. Our right to know, to question, and to decide our own future. It is a violation of the dignity of our nation, the very dignity that we fought so hard to secure. How did we come to this point, where decisions of such magnitude are made behind closed doors, without regard for the voices of the people who will be most affected? We are a nation built on the ideals of justice, freedom, and transparency. We fought for our right to self-determination, to stand as equals in the world, and to make our own choices. Yet, today, we find ourselves in the shadow of a decision made far from the reach of the public's eye, a decision that will shape the future of this country for generations. How can we accept that something as significant as the presence of foreign military forces on our soil is decided without so much as a whisper of consultation, without any proper discourse with the people who are supposed to be the heart of this nation? This approval didn't happen in the open, where it could be debated, discussed, and challenged. No, it was a quiet decision, made by a few at the top, who apparently believed that their judgment alone was enough. What happened to the democracy we fought for? What happened to the principle that every citizen's voice matters, that no decision, no matter how significant, should be made without the involvement of the people? This wasn't just an oversight, it was a deliberate omission of our collective rights as a people to have a say in what happens on our land. And what is more dangerous is that this sets a dangerous precedent for the future. If we allow decisions like this to go unchallenged, if we allow our leaders to continue making such monumental choices in secrecy, we risk losing the very essence of what it means to be a free and independent country. This is not just about a foreign military base. This is about something much larger, something far more insidious. It's about the erosion of our democratic rights, the disempowerment of the people, and the undermining of our dignity as a nation. The approval of this drone base represents a silent shift in power, a shift away from the will of the people, and toward the interests of foreign powers. We are told that this move is in our best interest, that it will bring security, or economic benefits. But how can we trust a decision that was made without our knowledge, without our consent? How can we accept promises made in the dark, when we were denied the opportunity to even question them? The silence surrounding this decision speaks volumes. It tells us that our leaders no longer see the people as partners in the nation's future, but rather as bystanders, passive observers to the decisions that shape our lives. It is as though our voices no longer matter, that we are not entitled to know what is happening within our own borders. And this is not just about one decision or one issue. It is a symptom of a larger problem. When the government makes decisions in secrecy, when it operates outside of the light of transparency, it sends a message that the people do not matter. It tells us that our sovereignty, our autonomy, and our voice are no longer as valuable as the deals and agreements made behind closed doors. What is the point of having a government if the very people it represents are excluded from the decisions that affect their daily lives? The approval of a foreign military base, without public consultation, is a betrayal of the trust we placed in our leaders. It is a failure to uphold the very values that we have fought for as a nation. This is not just a political failure, it is a moral one. The dignity of our nation, the dignity of our people, is not something that should be bargained away in secret deals and undisclosed agreements. We must ask ourselves, what kind of nation do we want to be? Do we want to live in a country where the people are left in the dark about the decisions that impact their lives? Or do we want to be a nation where transparency and accountability are the cornerstones of governance, where every decision is made with the full participation of the people? The time has come for us to demand better, to demand that we are no longer excluded from the decisions that shape our future. We have the right to know, the right to question, and the right to shape the direction of our nation. It's time for us to stand up and reclaim our power, our voice, and our dignity. The hidden decision to approve this strong base was not just a political misstep, it was an affront to everything we stand for, as a free democratic nation. And it is up to us to ensure that this is not the future we accept, that we do not remain silent in the face of such betrayal. The time to act is now. Our nation deserves better. We deserve better. Let us reclaim the dignity that is ours, by right, and let us ensure that no decision of this magnitude ever happens again in secrecy. For years we have fought for something so fundamental to our identity as a nation, the right to be seen as equals, to stand proudly on the world stage as a sovereign and independent country. We fought for a society free from the shackles of oppression, a society where the dignity of every person is respected, regardless of their background. Our history is a testament to that struggle against apartheid, against injustice, against all forms of foreign interference that sought to dictate how we should live. The price of this freedom was steep, paid in the sacrifices of countless individuals who fought, bled, and died for the dream of a free and fair South Africa. It is because of them that we stand where we do today, with the ability to chart our own course, to determine our own future. Yet now we are faced with a possibility that threatens to undermine everything we have worked so hard to achieve. The hard-earned freedom we fought for, the independence that defines us as a nation, is now at risk. We have spent decades building a society that stands on the principles of self-determination and national sovereignty. A society where we can decide what is best for us, without interference from foreign powers. But now we find ourselves in a position where that sovereignty is being tested, where decisions are being made about our land and our future, without our consent, without even consulting us as the people who are most affected. We deserve better than this. We deserve a country where our voice matters, where the decisions that shape our future are made by us, for us. We are not a nation that should have to tolerate foreign influence over our domestic affairs. We are not a country that should sit idly by while others come to our land and dictate terms to us. Our sovereignty is not something to be bargained away in secret deals and closed-door agreements. It is not something to be traded for economic promises or vague assurances of security. We fought too hard for too long to let anyone strip away that hard-earned freedom now. The situation we face today is not one that was forced upon us by outside forces. No, this is a situation of our own making. We have allowed the politics of secrecy and convenience to erode the very principles that we hold dear. We have allowed our leaders to make decisions in our name, without asking for our consent, without engaging with us as equals, without recognizing the deep responsibility they have to uphold the trust we placed in them. It is not just the decision itself that is troubling, it is the way it was made, quietly, without transparency, without accountability, and most importantly, without us being asked whether this is the path we want to take. The approval of a foreign military presence on our soil is not just a matter of security or defense. It is a matter of respect. It is a matter of how we define ourselves as a nation and how we allow others to define us. If we continue to allow foreign powers to operate on our land, to conduct military operations in our name, what does that say about us as a people? Are we still the independent sovereign nation we claim to be? Or have we become just another pawn in a global game, another nation whose sovereignty can be compromised for the interests of others? We deserve better than that. We deserve to live in a country where our sovereignty is not just a word but a reality, where we have the power to determine our own future and protect our own interests. We deserve to have a government that listens to us, that values our opinions, and that respects the very ideals of democracy that we fought so long to secure. A government that would make decisions of this magnitude in secrecy does not reflect the values of a free and fair society. It reflects something much darker, something that is willing to sacrifice the principles of transparency and accountability for political convenience. We must demand better. We must demand that our leaders listen to the people, that they honor the trust we place in them, and that they never again make such critical decisions without our voice being heard. We are a proud and resilient nation, and we have always shown that we are willing to fight for what is right. This moment is no different. We have faced adversity before, and we have risen to meet it, but now we face a new kind of challenge. The challenge of ensuring that the very freedoms we fought for are not taken away from us, in the name of political expediency. We have worked too hard for too long to let this country become something that doesn't represent us, something that is dictated by the interests of foreign powers, rather than the will of the people. We deserve better than this. We deserve a nation that stands tall, that values its independence, and that never forgets the hard lessons of history. We deserve a government that recognizes the sanctity of our sovereignty and upholds the ideals of justice, equality, and transparency. This is our fight now, our fight to ensure that the future we pass on to the next generation is one of true freedom, one where we are in control of our own destiny. And it is a fight worth having, because the freedom we have today is the result of sacrifices made by those who believed in the power of a sovereign, independent South Africa. Let's honor their legacy by making sure we don't lose what they fought so hard to secure. We deserve better, and it's time to make sure we get it. This is not the end, it's the beginning of something far more powerful. We are at the start of a battle, not one that will be fought with guns or violence, but one that will be fought with our voices, with the strength of our unity, and with the unwavering belief that we deserve better. The events unfolding around us are not just a series of isolated decisions or fleeting political moments. They are part of something much larger, something that will define the kind of future we build for ourselves and for generations to come. The power to shape that future lies within us. It always has, and it always will. We cannot afford to sit in silence, waiting for change to come from those in power. The time for passive observation has passed. The moment we face now is one where each and every one of us must rise and demand the respect and dignity we deserve. This is a time for action, not for complacency. It's time for us to make our voices heard, to let the world know that we will not stand by while our sovereignty is compromised, while our rights are trampled, and while our nation is steered down a path we did not choose. The beauty of a nation like South Africa lies in the strength of its people. We have always been a people who have faced adversity with resilience and courage. We fought for our freedom before, and we must fight for it again, but this time the fight will not be one of violence or destruction. This fight will be fought with the power of our collective voice, with our ability to speak truth to power, to demand justice, and to hold those in authority accountable for their actions. It will be fought with the strength that comes from unity, from the recognition that when we stand together, we are unstoppable. We have seen what can happen when we unite as a people. We have seen how powerful we can be when we come together for a common cause. It's time to remember that strength. We may not have the wealth or the military might of foreign powers, but we have something far more important, our unity. And when we stand as one, when we speak with a single voice, there is no force on this earth that can ignore us. Our voices, our demands, our insistence on justice and transparency will be heard, loud and clear. The future is ours to shape. We have the power to define it, to determine the kind of nation we want to be. The future will not be handed to us. We must claim it, fight for it, and ensure that it is built on the principles that made us who we are: freedom, justice, equality, and respect for our sovereignty. We cannot let this moment slip away. We must act now before it is too late, to ensure that the decisions that affect our lives are made by us, with our consent and in our best interests. But this fight is not just about rejecting foreign influence or standing up against a single decision. It is about something much larger. It is about ensuring that we never again find ourselves in a situation where our rights, our future, and our nation are decided by those who do not have our best interests at heart. It is about creating a South Africa where transparency, accountability, and justice are the foundation of every decision. A South Africa where the people are not just subjects of governance, but active participants in shaping the policies that govern them. We must demand transparency from those in power. We must insist that decisions of national importance are made in the open, with the people's input and approval. No more secret deals, no more backroom negotiations that undermine our rights and sovereignty. We deserve a government that governs in the light of day, that listens to its people, and that always prioritizes the interests of the nation over the interests of foreign powers or corporate elites. At the same time, we must demand justice. Justice for those whose voices have been silenced. Justice for the people whose lives will be directly impacted by these decisions. And justice for the future of our country. We cannot allow our history of struggle to be erased by the quiet compromises of the present. We must hold those who make decisions that harm our people accountable. If we do not, we risk losing the very essence of what makes South Africa unique. Our commitment to freedom, justice and equality. The path ahead will not be easy. It will require courage, persistence, and unwavering determination. But we are more than capable of walking it. This is our fight, and it will not be won by waiting for others to act. It will be won when each of us stands up, when each of us demands the future we deserve, and when each of us makes our voices heard. We have the power to change the course of this nation, to steer it back on the path of justice, fairness and sovereignty. But we must act now. Let us not forget that we are the ones who built this nation. We are the ones who carried the struggle for freedom on our backs, and we are the ones who will carry it forward into the future. The time for change is now, and the future is ours to shape. Let us rise together and make sure that our voices are heard, our demands are met, and our future is one we can all be proud of. The question we face today is simple, yet profound. What kind of country do we want to be? Will we allow ourselves to be subjugated by the interests of outside powers, allowing foreign forces to dictate our future and control our land? Or will we stand tall, assert our sovereignty, and shape our destiny according to the values that have always defined us: justice, freedom, and self-determination? This is not just a rhetorical question, it's the critical challenge that will determine the future of South Africa. And make no mistake, the choice is ours. The power to define our future rests in our hands, and the time to act is now. For too long, we have allowed others to tell our story, to shape the narrative around who we are and where we are headed. We've allowed external influences to affect our decisions, to manipulate the course of our destiny. It's time to reclaim that power. It's time to take control of our own future. We have fought long and hard for the right to live as equals in this world, to carve out our place on our own terms. But now, as we look toward the future, we must ask ourselves, are we ready to protect the freedom we fought so hard to secure? Are we willing to take a stand and ensure that our land, our sovereignty and our people are never again subjected to the whims of foreign interests? The struggle for independence, for self-determination, has always been a defining feature of who we are as a nation. From the days of colonial rule, through the dark years of apartheid, to the hard-won victory of democracy, we have consistently fought for our right to govern ourselves. We have proven time and time again that we will not bow to oppression, that we will not allow any power, whether foreign or domestic, to take away our right to live free on our own terms. But now we are at a crossroads, and it is up to us to decide whether we will continue that fight, or allow ourselves to slip into a future where our voices are silenced, our sovereignty undermined, and our rights disregarded. This is a moment in history when the choices we make will have a lasting impact. We must decide whether we will continue to be a beacon of hope, a symbol of freedom and resistance to foreign interference, or whether we will become a nation that compromises its principles in the face of external pressure. If we allow foreign powers to use our land for their own purposes, without our consent, without our voice in the decision-making process, then we risk losing everything we have fought for. Our sovereignty, our dignity, and our future will no longer be in our hands. It will be shaped by others, according to their interests and priorities, not our own. The future of South Africa is not something that will be handed to us on a silver platter. It is something we must fight for every single day, through the choices we make, the actions we take, and the values we uphold. We cannot afford to be passive in this moment. We cannot afford to sit idly by and hope that someone else will defend our rights for us. The time to act is now. We must demand that our sovereignty be respected, that our voices be heard, and that we are never again treated as passive bystanders in the decisions that shape our future. The road ahead will not be easy. The forces that seek to undermine our sovereignty are powerful, and they will stop at nothing to advance their interests. But we have faced adversity before, and we have always come out stronger on the other side. The strength of our people lies in our unity, in our unwavering commitment to justice and freedom. If we stand together, if we raise our voices in unison, there is no power that can silence us. Together, we can take control of our destiny. Together, we can ensure that South Africa remains a sovereign nation, one that is defined by its people, its values, and its commitment to justice and equality. The choices we make today will echo through the generations, If we choose to stand tall, if we choose to fight for our sovereignty and our freedom, we will set a precedent for the future. We will show the world that South Africa is a country that will not be bought, that will not be bullied, and that will never allow its future to be shaped by anyone other than its own people. The time for action is now. We must rise up, demand transparency, demand justice, and demand that our nation be defined by the values that have always made us strong. We are the architects of our own future. The power to shape that future is in our hands, and it is up to us to ensure that we continue to move forward as a free, sovereign, and independent nation. The choice is ours. Will we bow down to the pressures of foreign powers, or will we stand tall, take control, and shape our destiny? The time to act is now, and the future is waiting for us to take the first step. Let us not wait any longer. The future of South Africa depends on what we do today.